a lot of the talking heads will basically say, "Oh, these multiples, like the price to earnings of this company, is unsustainable." But when you're taking the biggest line item expense on your balance sheet off your balance sheet, and you're trading
Which
it
is
for
pretty
a
cool.
capital investment item, which is depreciatable over time, the multiples of these companies is going to expand, right?
It's
And
happening with
so,
Amazon's share price.
yeah,
That's what's
and
happening with Amazon.
if you're an investor, you're going to want to pay attention to that. I hope we get to also watch that short clip because it kind of ties it back to how it works, like for the people in the bottom of the scale or the real world.
And you usually with business, what's the biggest pain in the ass for you three that have had start the business in the past? It's usually recruitment. I was talking to a contact of Eric's on last week. He had 500 odd staff in the hospitality space, and he just said we became a recruitment company. And I said, how'd you find that? And after he had his exit, he said, I don't miss it at all. And get that. Oh, it's a fucking pain in the ass hiring people. I only read an article this morning from Layla Mosey from acquisition.com, and the cost to recruit and the cost to replace if you don't onboard correctly and all this other bullshit can we now be bypassed by just pushing a button, trained immediately on the floor, selling a coffee, whatever it may be.
What are your guys' thoughts, right? I've always been saying this about real estate, right? More real estate will be held in less hands, which gives a minority control over real estate, as an example, right? Like the BlackRocks and these big companies coming in and buying, tens of thousands of houses and units. I now look at, Elon Musk, obviously the most intelligent man probably in the world that we know of, our modern day Einstein, like him, love him or hate him. And I look at it and go, this man, right, with his own two hands, because I don't care what anybody says, he will be in full control of transportation around the world. And he will be in full control of internet, right? And he will be in full control of internet. You can see where it's going. How does that make you feel? I'd like to know each of you guys' thoughts in regards to, because it's an interesting thought, because at any one time, that one person has full control, whether they're good, they're bad, they're evil, they want to screw shit up if they want. What are your? I'm just being the devil's advocate, going.
Another moral debate.
We're basically giving the keys, not to the city, the keys to the world, to one person who's outsmarted. Really, he has outsmarted anybody else by, I don't even know how long.
We're not giving him the keys. Like he's literally creating this new world.
But this is what I mean. How does it make you feel? We're basically putting all of our trust in the future of transportation and connectivity to one person.
I think, and he'll say this as well, I think it's gotten to a point now where even without him, the world is still going to go this way, right? Like it might go a little bit slower, but I do think it's gotten to a point now that even without him, the world is going to go this way. I mean, they're just my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I wouldn't peg Elon as a bad actor per se, or have some behind the scenes plan that he's trying to concoct it all. But as Mark said, it's not just Elon now. There's everyone will follow suit very shortly.
At the end of the day, he's only going to win if people buy his stuff. So the market, like the rest of us, is going to vote or not vote for Elon Musk's products. I think that the market and the world is going to select Elon. He's not got control any more than we buy his products. Just like Apple didn't get any more control than what they earned through innovating and creating great products. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting time moving into it. I just want to, like, I've been sounding the alarm bell on my socials about the other stuff we talked about today, but this is another growing alarm bell, but not like fear. It's like things are changing, guys. Like mass disruption.
Can we play that clip from Pomp and Jordi Visser, Adam?
Yeah, let's play it. 1 second.
Because I think that it ties things back to the average guy. Do you want me to?
I've got it here. We'll throw it up in post as well. So that's probably done. Cool. Let's go.
It does feel like there are more and more tech companies. Now, I'll say tech companies because it could be one person startups, but I saw data recently that showed the number of US small businesses that filed for bankruptcy just hit a new record. And so one of the things that I keep kind of struggling with here is on one hand, in my tech circle friends and people who, are like on the internet, it's not ever been easier to create something that can make money. I know people who are doing it on Substack. I know people who are doing it on YouTube. I know people who are doing podcasts. I know people who are creating little, software products and they're shipping it. I know people who are creating courses or all kinds of things that I think people generally would label as like a side hustle.
Uh-huh.
On the other hand, small business bankruptcies is at an all-time high. It just feels like the economy is going through a transition. And an area where I see this is I recently tweeted 7 years ago, I wrote a piece talking about assets. And what I said was up until the 1980s, 1990s, we lived in the analog age of securities. So this whole idea was it was physical assets, physical stocks, physical bonds, physical, keys to your home, etc. At some point in maybe the 90s into the early 2000s, we transitioned to an electronic age. Everything became an electronic QSIP. Now, when you buy a stock, they don't say the stock certificate, you hold the electronic QSIP. We're now transitioning into the digital age. And I wrote it 7 years ago, and I thought it was, it was about to happen, but it seems like now DTC just got this no action letter from the SEC. Like there's some things that are starting to happen where you're seeing it occur. So financial markets are going through a transition from like an electronic and analog into this digital world. But it also feels like on a macro basis, the US economy is transitioning. We are going from something that is not digital, something that is not got software at the heart of it. And so in that transition, it just feels like there is immense disruption and you're almost like shedding skin, like a snake. It's going to regrow their skin. It sucks. People lose their jobs, companies go out of business, all stuff. But like, it does feel like if you unemotionally look at it, that's kind of what's happening in the economy. Is that a fair assessment in your mind?
100%. But let's say what you're describing is
that. And I think in order to answer your initial question, and Adam kind of echoed that sentiment, on a high level, providing this technology and this shift allows more people to go from employees to starting side hustles and being one-man band entrepreneurs or tech startups or Substack writers or whatever. And then those people are able to use the proceeds from those new business ideas in order to buy assets and bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, then this is going to continue to accelerate no matter who's at the forefront. But that is going to be the litmus test that we are going to need to be able to be one-man band startups and accumulate assets. And if we can't, then there's going to be more revolt. There's going to be more assassinations like Charlie Kirk type stuff, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. So that I think is the litmus test.
Yeah, I look at it and I just go like, right now people have a choice to learn it or not, to adopt tech or not, to adopt a side hustle or not. Yeah. In the future, you will have no choice. A gun will be pointed to your head at some point, right? When you are made redundant, right? And they say, yes, it's going to create more jobs. Of course, it's going to create more jobs, but let's be realistic. It ain't going to be creating more jobs than the jobs that are going to be lost.
It's not for the 40 plus year olds, right? It's those people are not going to be able to retrain necessarily. So it's incumbent to retrain yourself. Whereas people who are coming into the workforce now, well, they're digital natives. So it'll be much easier for them.
Correct. There will be a transition.
To your point, Eric, I thought that was another point I thought about last week when Mark said, Amazon's AI enabled and it's like, they're one of the largest employers in the world. My question that I thought about afterwards was that how many people lost their jobs in corner stores and small businesses? Like, yes, Amazon grew to 100,000 employees or 200,000 employees. Well, I think they're at 600,000 employees, whatever. But how many jobs were lost? How many small businesses were closed because of Amazon? So it might have been 10 million people lost their jobs and 1 million of them ended up at Amazon and 9 million people were displaced. The question is what happened to those 9 million people? And if you look at unemployment figures, that might tell you some of the truth, but they're so fiddled with by politicians that you got no idea. But you do see things like you know, in America, 20% of Americans now are buying their groceries with buy now, pay later. Black Friday, which is stunning, right? Like 1 in 5 Americans are using Afterpay to pay their groceries. Black Friday, there was a huge amount. I mean, you probably might have even seen it in your business, Eric, and have some meaningful data about how many people are using Afterpay now versus 2 years ago.
Yeah, Afterpay keeps continuing to grow.
Yeah.
Every
So we're
year,
seeing
every
with-
month, every week. But again, it's demographic changes. Like I want to ask you a question. James, do you have a credit card?
I do, but I don't use it at all.
Do you have a credit card, Adam? You're different now. You're buying everything off Bitcoin basically now, right? But
No, I
before-
still use a credit card. You clear it at the end of the month.
yeah, so do I. Mark, do you use a credit card and clear it at the end of the month?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I, right? And there's multiple reasons for why we do what we do. I can guarantee you, if you go and ask anyone between the ages of 20 and 30, if they use a credit card, majority of them will say no based on the data, because what do they use? Now, they use other services like Afterpay. James, have you ever used Afterpay?
No.
Adam, have you ever used Afterpay?
Yeah.
Mark, have you ever used Afterpay?
Yeah, I use it because it's an extra bit of credit that I can pay up for you.
I don't, right? So, but what I'm saying here is the younger generation don't use credit cards. They use these different types of tech platforms like Afterpay. So there's that transition there. And it's the same thing. It's going to be very hard at some point for some people to transition. Like I look at my dad as an example, and this won't, I don't think, affect him heavily because they're retired now. But like, he doesn't know how to use a phone like we use a phone, you know? Like I call him on WhatsApp and he's still trying to figure things out, and it's been 5 years, 10 years. So there's be a point in time where I don't know how old that person's going to be. I think they're going to be a little bit older than us, but there's going to be some people that it's going to be very painful to transition from a non-tech brain to all of a sudden I have to adapt to these different ways with tech.
I keep saying it. I keep saying it every week. I say it. It's not going to be. It's not in the future on the horizon. It's now. We're in it now. We are currently in that transition period.
Everyone watching, one thing I dropped in the pod today that I hope you didn't miss was the name Cern Basher, CERN, Cern Basher. Just follow him on YouTube because he's a Tesla analyst, and he breaks down in really simple terms the ways that Tesla will become a valuable company.